So, Robert, I think I have some scriptures. Well, I know I have some scriptures, but can you pull? All right, so we're going to be talking a little bit about Mary, Martha, being a place of Bethany this morning. I kind of taught something very similar to this a few Wednesday night, well, about 3 months ago on a Wednesday night, and the message has really just stuck with me since then. I don't know, something about it. Being a dwelling place for the Lord is something that's really been on my heart the last few years. We went to a conference, and that was the theme of the conference, and it stuck with me ever since. And y'all have heard me say that before on Sunday mornings. So this is kind of a little bit about that. So we're going to read right here first. All right, so as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came into a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed her into her home. And her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. All right, it's important here, and kind of what I'm going about, to like leave all the biases, like everything we know about Mary and Martha and Lazarus is a refresh, a restart, all right? Those things, just erase those for 20 minutes. You don't know anything about the story. All right, you can go to the next one, Robert. But Martha, by the big caring, she came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you were worried and upset over all these details, all these things that got you jacked up. There is only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. So, Martha, all right, Martha, like, the more I read this, the more I'm like, I honestly really see where Martha's coming from. Maybe that's just me. Then I was sitting at dinner with some people last week, and we were talking about things, and somebody said, well, somebody has to prepare the house. I was already thinking about this. Is that for me? Like, maybe I am. And so, really, and I really never, recently, but Martha was concerned about her house being in order. Like, there should be some concern for his house to be in order. That's a real thing that we should be concerned about. But I think what she got caught up in is she was so caught up in making the house look so good that where Mary knew that the house was okay, that Jesus, if he's coming inside and he's not too concerned about it. It's going to be okay. But Martha just couldn't put that past her. And she let her feelings get a little in control. And I was thinking about this too. We talked about this at camp with some kids for a little bit. Is any big Star Wars guy? I just learned this. This is awesome. This is great. That was awkward. Sorry, that was all me, man. That was not you. I just stared at him and smiled. But if you've watched Star Wars, and man, I watched like the cartoons, all the movies, like I love it. It's so good. Some of the best work Star Wars has done is in their animation. So if you don't Star Wars, please talk to me after service. If you don't like the service, but if you need things to watch on Disney Plus, I got you. All right, but and like, see, it's gonna be different. Like, if you're a little kid, you're probably like, oh, the movies with Rey are so good, and I just want to, whatever. Sorry, all of me. I don't like those movies. And then you got like my generation, like me, Aaron, Daniel, the younger. Oh gosh, the people, the 1, 2, and 3, and I like the original trilogy too. But I feel like so much of that prequel trilogy is Anakin not letting his feelings and emotions control him, and that's the Jedi way. The Jedi way is your feelings have to be left aside, and Anakin couldn't do that. So, and the thing is, leading to that, it's okay to feel your feelings, but not let them lead you. And that's a life lesson. We had cars on yesterday, and I was like, man, I remember being like 7 years old and getting a life lesson from this movie in the movie theater about being selfish, because Lightning McQueen stops right before, and he goes and helps the blue car get past. I just remember seeing that. So there's life lessons in things if you just see them in there. And the Jedi was emotional control, not suppression. And I was like, dang, because I looked it up because I wanted to read some things. I was like, that's really good. The Christian way, not just suppress, bottling them down, and then explode. Everybody knows explosions are not good unless it was last weekend, okay? Explosions are good on the 4th of July and New Year's. But anytime you're in a conversation and somebody explodes, is it ever good? No, it's not. I heard some husbands go, no, it's not good. It's not good. The Jedi Code teaches them to let go of their emotions so they do not lead to greed, fear, or possessive attachment. Are there some things in our lives that we are possessively attaching to? What was Martha so attached to in this moment? Was it her reputation? How she looked? I don't know. We were meant to love like Jesus and let him lead us, but often we let our emotions take the lead. I've been guilty. There's been times where there's a situation, especially where I work at an ALE school, alternative education. Sometimes, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. But when we do that, when we let emotions take the lead, is it Jesus loving those people? Is it Jesus loving our family when we let our emotions take the lead? Or is it our emotions literally leading? The whole is this kind of fruit in our lives. We know this is simple. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and what's the last one? Self-control. Are we self-control? That's more than just our emotions. That's what are we welcoming in our lives? Are there things in our lives that we can't put down? Do we have self-control? And there's the thing about Mary in this. Mary saw and knew the way Jesus loved her, and nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered because she knew exactly who she was in the Lord. And I'm not saying Martha didn't, but Mary knew her place. And it's the same place we all have, no matter what our roles, our jobs, our generational age, is to sit at his feet and worship him. So Mary pours this expensive perfume, pouring out on the one who changed her life forever, on the one who would raise her brother from the dead. And then later on, we're not going to go there right now, but Jesus does exactly that. and Jesus goes to Bethany on that last week of his life before he takes on the cross. He goes and travels to Bethany because he knew he could rest there. Imagine being that type of dwelling place for the Lord, that place where he can go and sit. Matthew 20, now Jesus, going up to Jerusalem, took 12 disciples aside on the road and said to them, behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and to the scribes. They will condemn him to his death and deliver him to the Gentiles to mock and scourge and to crucify. On the third day he will rise again. And I read that, and you read it as in Jesus is telling his disciples once again what's going to happen. But what if he isn't just preparing them for an event, but he's asking his disciples to bear that with him? Like he is telling them, guys, I've told you this before. I've said it through parables, but the Son of Man is going, and he will be taken, and he will be crucified. I believe he's not telling them that just so they can be prepared, but he is inviting them into a deeper place of worship with him. Jesus, a man full human. Okay, that's the part that is also so crazy. Is full human. So he was emotional. He had emotions. He never let them lead him. It's just Jesus got angry, but he never sinned. So he didn't let emotion control or lead him. He controlled his anger even in times where he was upset, which is important to know because as a father now, and I see other people parent, it's like I'm learning because I'm like, okay, once again, Aaron is great. I've seen Aaron really emotions, maybe 3, so it's probably his sleep's not the same, but I've seen Aaron in moments where I would just, in my old ways of thinking, would just want to, spank my kid, have a righteous, self-controlling anger, and not, that maybe it's not I don't know. But what I'm saying is Jesus was able to control his emotions, and he wants us to control our emotions. Last week, I was so proud of myself. Nolan was at my house. He picked up this hanger, and he threw it. Hit my TV, and every part of me was like, I'm going to whoop him. But I didn't. I let his father take the lead, and I just let her do the work. And but I was like, you know what? Man, I just felt 7 happening. Like, I don't have to do anything. Like, I don't have to do it. And so Jesus was human, but so which means, as being a full human, as we all need fellowship and support. That's a big need, fellowship and support. To gather, whether it's in a place like this, in our home groups, or maybe just dinner with movie with friends. We need fellowship and we need support. We need those things. And I think Jesus is asking his disciples in that moment for some support, for some just love. I mean, think about that. You know what's going to, like, as a human being, I get anxious about, not anxious, I don't want to say that's a bad, I get some nerves about just the most unimportant things. Like, especially the night before something. Like, man, last night I was just like, I really hope I don't sleep past my alarm. I really hope my alarm goes off. Like, for like 10 minutes, I was just going back and forth, looking at my phone, making sure the alarm. And that was so going to wake up in time. So, nerve was a fool going through. He needed some support. He needed some fellowship. And he still looks for fellowship. Mankind was made to have fellowship with God, but it didn't stop there. Genesis tells us that we were not meant to be alone, that we need one another, even while we walk with God. Adam walked with the Lord, and God still knew he needed something else. Nothing was great. The support God gave Adam as they walked in Eden was more than what man can give him, but he knew man needed that. And Jesus knew the plan for crucifixion, and he fully embraced it, and he willingly laid his life down. Is there more? You can go to that next scripture for me, Robert. So, we have this encounter. Oh my gosh, Mary just poured out all this perfume and sat at his feet. Well, now, Jesus is going back to Bethany. He's heard some news about Lazarus being sick, so he's going back. It says Jesus was told that Lazarus had already been dead for 4 days. When Martha heard Jesus was coming, she met him. Now, Mary stayed in the house. So at least Martha, she's the one who was just working on the house while Mary was sitting at his feet. Well, Mary is the one who was salty and stayed at home. Think about that, seriously. Mary stayed at home. All right, but Martha said to Jesus, Lord, in here, my brother would not have died. But even now, this is funny to me. Even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask. So Jesus told her, your brother will rise again. Yes, Martha said. He will rise when everyone else does on the last day. It's funny how Martha's like, Lord, I know anything you ask, you can do. And then Jesus goes, yes, your brother will rise again. And then I feel like it's a answer of like, yeah, when everybody else does. So now you got salty Martha, right? And a salty Mary. Their brother just died. And they had this faith and belief that he wouldn't. Mary and Martha, fully human in this moment. Think about the story with the woman just touching the cloak of Jesus and her blood issue being healed. Well, Jesus was on his way to heal another little girl. And in that time, Jesus stops what he's doing to heal the woman with blood. What do you think the other guy was thinking as that was going on? Even though dude, can we please go? Can we please get to my, can we please hurry this up? I don't know, it doesn't say that you thought that, but I know what I mind. Like, come on, man, are we kidding? What is going on with this? Can you go to the next scripture, Robert? Then she returned to Mary. She called the mourners and told her, the teacher is here. So now he's the teacher. It's not just the friend Jesus anymore. Now the teacher wants to see you. The teacher is here and wants to see you. So Mary immediately went to him. And Mary arrived and fell at his feet. Once again, even in her saltiness, she knew her place. She knew where she was meant to be. She fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had only been here, my brother would not have died. And when Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, a deep anger arose in him. There's one more? Thanks. Where they told him, Lord, and Jesus was still as he arrived to the tomb. I can't read that far. Across its entrance, roll, Jesus told them, but Martha. I think that it's funny to me. They have to put an emphasis on who this is. Martha, protested, Lord, it's going to smell. It's going to be like the paper mill, but on steroids. Come on, we know that smell. We know that smell. Super one on the Holloway Road. That smell is coming through your window. It was way worse than that. Okay, but oh my gosh, they're missing it. Jesus just told her that here, brother. What was Martha afraid of in this moment? Maybe she was worried about what people, I don't know. She was the house ready. Maybe she really was worried about the smell, or maybe she was worried about the embarrassment of what would happen if Jesus did move the tomb and he didn't come back to life. I don't know. But it does tell us that Jesus had a special friendship with Lazarus' family. And they were so close to him that with everything going on, Jesus is going through this cycle of feelings, anger, he's weeping, he's about to take on the cross. He still takes time to be with his friend and be there for his family. During the worst week of his life, Jesus found sanctuary among friends. Even when they were bitter, even when they were upset, even when they questioned, he still found joy being with them, even in the midst of this awful situation. He could have stayed at the temple. We would have probably just gone to a church service. He could have went to another follower's house and just said, Lazarus, I'll see you in a few days. But he chose to surround himself with this type of support that still some sort of emotional way. But these people were that kind of resting place to him. Can you go to the next line of, oh, dude, you're perfect. You're already there. You're waiting on me. Thank you, Robert. A dinner in Jesus' honor. So, all right, Lazarus came back. He had the grave clothes on. They took him off. Now they're at their house. So this is Jesus' honor. And Martha served. Look at that. And Lazarus was among those who ate with him. Then Mary took a 12-ounce jar of expensive perfume made from essence of nard, and she anointed Jesus' feet with it, wiping his feet with hair, and the house was filled with fragrance. There's nothing else, right? That's it? Okay, you can just leave it there. So now, Jesus is at the house. Mary, Martha, Lazarus, they're all there. Do you think at that moment, Mary and Martha sat in pity and, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorrow and guilt for the way they just allowed themselves to act in the previous chapter? They weren't thinking, oh my gosh, I know my brother's alive, but I was so rude. I was so salty. I was so in question. I was maybe a little bit of a denial. Maybe doubted my faith a little bit. Questioned who I was. Questioned who the Lord was. I highly doubt that was how they felt in that moment. In this house, they're not questioning their faith. It's full awe, full surrender of the Lord and his leadership, his guidance, the way he does things. But yet, so I feel like can go great seasons, these great times, and we allow ourselves to question. We can say, I saw these things happen. The Lord's been faithful here in this area. And a few months go by, and we're back to that season before the faithfulness. We're back to that. We're back to the drinking. We're back to the gossiping. We're back to the short temper. We're back to whatever it is. But if we saw ourselves, and see, that's the thing that happens in John 11. Mary and Martha, they kind of forgot how Jesus saw them in this moment because their emotions took the lead. Now, Lazarus, your brother dying is a pretty insane, that's a pretty traumatic event. I would assume. It's pretty terrible. A family member dying, somebody getting sick, those are terrible things. But does Jesus' perspective of us change even when we go through those things? No. Even when Mary and Martha were expressing themselves, were letting their feelings take the lead, Jesus didn't go and say, I thought out of all people, you two would fully believe. Maybe that's why he was angry. I doubt it. But what I'm trying to say in all of this is Jesus' picture of you does not change. And if I believe that if we saw ourselves as a group of believers, the way Jesus sees us, the things of the world would have no temptation to our souls. If we saw the way Jesus saw us, this is for me too, I wouldn't have to get angry and just think spanking is the first thing I have to do. I wouldn't think that going back to an old habit is the first thing I have to do when I mess up. Oh, me and Glory got into a big argument. Now I have to just do A, B, and C because I'm in pity and shame because of the way I treated her. Instead of it, what if it's me and Glory just got into this, but Lord, I know the way you feel. I know how much you love me. I know how much you love her. Maybe there's a situation at work. Maybe there's actually a situation in your home that you just are in a cycle of being stuck in. Sit back and reflect. The Lord, His picture, His perspective, it doesn't change. And when He doesn't change, when we allow Him to be the center of our lives and He doesn't change, we won't change either. Like Jesus called Peter the rock, the foundation of the church. And I've said this before, Peter goes on to call us living stones, a rock, the foundation of his church. Not just on a local level, but on a worldwide perspective. We're meant to be foundation. Foundation. I've never really had a bad issue with a bad foundation in a house, but there's a house in our neighborhood, and it's like a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It's a huge house, has a garage. I was just looking at places in our neighborhood because a lot of houses are getting built, and I saw this house was $80,000, and I was like, what? Why is it $80,000? That's crazy. Well, I was talking to somebody else, and they were like, yeah, the garage is actually like not even connected to the house anymore because the foundation is so jacked up. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of, that makes sense. That's why it's so cheap, because But when your foundation is not solid, when your foundation messes up, things start to fall apart. Relationships, jobs, families. He is listen, the enemy is after your family, believer. If you're a believer, he's after your family. You want your foundation tested, enemy will mess with your family. 100% believe it. Look at Job. Heck, look at Jesus in this moment. He considered Lazarus his best friend. I consider my best friend's family. In this moment, in our lives, there's going to be times where foundation is going to get shook. But are we going to stand firm and allow it to stay strong? Or are we going to give in to the temptation of the world, temptation of what the enemy is saying about us and over us, and let that foundation be moved? Jesus is looking for us. He's looking at us, to believers, to be a place of Bethany. That when he looks at the cross and he knows the pain he's about to experience, that he can go back to that place. He can come to you. He can come to us. He's looking for people to sit with him about the things that break his heart, about the state of the church. Like, what if we're just the disciples in Matthew? Jesus is telling us all these things, and we're just like, okay, man, so you weren't joking when you said you were going to take on the cross. Like, you do mean that. Okay, I understand. What if he's pulling us over on the side of the road and trying to get us to understand the state of the world, the seriousness of the church, the seriousness of the things in the spirit realm right now, and saying the time to intercede is now. Like he didn't pull them over just for another sidebar conversation. He pulled them over for a deeper meaning. And those disciples, they just took his words and they accepted them. They understood and they listened. But I'm telling you, I believe that was an invitation. And I believe there's an invitation for us, not just today, but for our lives, to be a place where the Lord dwells. He dwells in our homes, dwells in our vehicles, dwells in our lives. Bethany was more of a place to dwell, but it was a refuge for the Lord. Imagine, oh my gosh, being a refuge for the Lord. I have this belief that after what happened, Mary and Martha, they knew who the Lord was. Because sometimes the death of one thing brings a deeper worship into another. The death of Lazarus and the resurrection of their brother, their old way of thinking, their old way of living, brought something deeper out of them they did not even know was there. Or have we allowed the dead thing in our life to bring about deeper worship, or have we allowed the dead thing in our life to be resurrected by our own hands? I think it's a simple question. Is the dead thing still dead, or do we resurrect it? Mary wasted all of that at his feet. The whole house smelled. Martha still doing what she loved to do, serving. Dinner was prepared and Martha served. Something changed though. There wasn't a serving because she felt like she had to. She felt like she needed to. She wanted to serve the Lord in this moment. Martha wanted to serve the Lord. Mary wanted to sit at his feet. Both things good. Both things beautiful in the eyes of the Lord. I just guarantee whatever died in them when their brother was resurrected didn't come back. It stayed dead. What in our lives are we allowing? What are we dying and then bringing up again? Dying, bringing up again. Dying, bringing up again. The cycle of falling short, needing support, being great again. That's not what the Lord has for us. That's not what He intends for us to walk in and live in. He intends for us to walk in freedom. Like freedom. Freedom of our minds telling us that we're never going to measure up, never going to be like that because my past is too great. When we say those things, we raise the dead thing back up. Jesus buried. We were crucified with Christ and raised up with Him. Meaning those habits, those tendencies, those things that you don't like about yourself can stay dead. And the only way they get raised up is if you let them. But when we dwell with the Lord, when He dwells inside of us, you don't want those things to come back up. Like, I know I don't. Like, the more time I spend with the Lord, the more I'm like, dang, this is really good. Like, like, man, God, the words you speak, the truth in your word, who you say you are, is so perfect, is so amazing that I can't even have the thought of bringing the dead thing back to life because He is so good. Can we have the prayer teams come up?